I'd mentioned yesterday we were involved in a Drive Means Drive event that took place downtown Twin Falls, and it has been driven home by a couple of, and no pun intended there, but it's by a couple of tragedies. The terrible one that happened in this area over the weekend, and then I was just talking with Keith Thompson from Idaho State Police off air about a story on the AP wire this morning. A 14-year-old girl being taken to school by her parents. There was an argument in the car. People got distracted. Car rolled over. She's dead. These type of things this time of year are especially difficult to deal with because there's going to be empty seats at that Christmas dinner, and that's when it's really going to be driven home to these people about the terrible loss they've experienced. First of all, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
This is somebody thrown from a vehicle, especially, doesn't happen if they're wearing a seatbelt for the most part.
Yeah, the reality is listen, I know there's crashes out there no one lives through, and everyone has an uncle that had an aunt that had a cousin that had a friend that if you would have had a seatbelt on, he would have died or something like that. But I mean, some people win at jackpot too. And the reality is if you wear your seatbelt, there's a 60% greater likelihood of living. When you're thrown from the vehicle, you're thrown in the path of the vehicle for most part, and that vehicle's coming on top of you, and you're thrown at the speed that the vehicle was going at that point. So
And if you're doing even 60, not 80, but even just 60, that's it's
yeah, you're going to hit the pavement at 60 miles per hour, and guess what? The car behind you is going to hit you at about closer to that speed as well. So
I guess I see these stories, and it's 2 or 3 times a week somebody's not wearing a seatbelt, and I'm almost in the habit of it. I don't even know if I think about it. I get in, I pull it across, but is it just that some people are obstinate?
well, and that's what I tell my rancher friends a lot. Forever, it took policemen years to put on the seatbelts because they say, "Well, I gotta get in and out of the car." It doesn't take me that long to unclick that seatbelt and actually get out of the car. And when you make it a habit, it's just something that naturally happens. So you're not getting caught up in that, even if it's a stressful situation because you're used to that. It's muscle memory, and guess what? You pop right out of the car without no seatbelt, and it doesn't take that long. Just hit the click and you're out. So
Can you grab a headset for a moment because I
sure.
think we have a telephone caller. It's 8:36, and Keith Thompson from Idaho State Police joining us in studio. And caller, you're up next on KLIX.
Yes, I call myself an experienced driver, I guess. The last week, I've almost had two head-ons. One's going to Buell and one's going out Washington to the airport. And, you know, I'm sitting here going, what do you do when a car comes over in front of you? How do you how do you get around that?
Yeah, and in fact, I just did a crash probably less than a month ago where a guy fell asleep when in someone else's lane. They tried to avoid him. The guy woke up, overcorrected, and they still hit. You do the best you can do, and you look for the path that's the farthest away from him that you can go. But you got to take into account everything, and sometimes it's just trying to take the crash in the least vulnerable part of your vehicle.
And the
So
choice there is not an easy one for anyone to
you're
make.
right.
Uh, we got to point out we got a couple of minutes here. We're also between that period of the year where, as a friend of mine once said, who was a sheriff's deputy years ago, he said, "You don't want to spend your Christmas holiday behind bars. This is the time of year with lots of the parties and everything going
Right.
on, and people can get a little out of hand."
Right. And the thing is people think, well, when I get to the bar, I'll just hand my keys to someone. That's the wrong time. And the first thing that happens when you drink is judgment goes out the window. That's one of the first things that are affected, and you get that false pride, and you don't want to give up your keys all of a sudden. And so if you're going to go out and party and everything, already have the plans, or someone already has the keys, that when you leave your house, someone else is driving. That's the designated driver. The taxis are cheap around here, whatever it might be. We have no mercy on drunk driving at all.
A friend of
We
mine told me
will
one time, he said,
arrest.
when the dashboard cameras came along, you had even no discretion any longer. You got to do it.
Right, right, and we need to do it. I mean, listen, the whole fact that you have a group called MAD was because people got tired of it, and the deaths and the pain and the money and everything that goes with that. And they're not joking when they say it could cost you $10,000. I mean, when you get done with the fees and the lawyers and everything that goes with that, it's going to be a costly experience, more than what your Christmas fund can probably take.
I always like the public service announcement about the young guy who's riding his bicycle and he can't go out on a date because of that,
Yeah.
because he can't drive any longer, and so that would definitely get the point across to most people.
Right. And you know, the thing is, then it becomes a vicious cycle because most people need their car to work in our area. We don't have a huge bus transit system here. And so now you get caught driving without privileges. And so you get another misdemeanor ticket. And pretty soon you don't get your license back at all. And it's just, to avoid it, just don't drive drunk and make arrangements so you don't have to.
I know you're not scheduled to come up again until sometime in January, but because of this time of year, we may end up seeing you in advance of that somewhere along the line, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. If you need, for what, or,
I was going to say it'll be in your law enforcement hat.
oh, yes.
Maybe I'll call you because obviously you have a second job too, but I don't know if you want to mix those two.
I can always work things through.
All right, all right. I want to thank Keith for dropping by and visiting with us today. It's coming up at 8:40. Bill Colley with you this morning. There's supposed to be, there it is, music playing there. It's 30 right now. Hey, we've got plenty more coming up. Got to share with you a couple of stories about, government spending your money again, and you might want a better say in how it's being spent. That's on the way this morning on Top Story.